Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga. Welcome to Soft Flow Yoga. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. So our practice today is called Unbinding Your Shoulders. Unbinding your shoulders. And so actually the class is going to involve binding our shoulders so that we can feel the release of that tension that we can sometimes hold in our shoulders. So that's our practice for today. So we also need some props, our regular things that we use for soft flow. You want to have a blanket or a towel, something that you can sit on, kneel on, just something soft, okay? And then a couple of yoga blocks. If you happen to have some yoga blocks, you can also use a couple of hardbound books, like some big dictionaries or encyclopedias, if you've got those in your bookshelf. And then maybe, this is just a maybe, you don't have to have this, a bolster, a yoga bolster, or you can just have like a nice cushion or pillow, and that, again, that could be something that you would like to sit on just for a little softness. And that's it for our props today. So I invite you to take a comfortable seat on your yoga mat, and also you can sit on your cushion or pillow, folded blanket or towel, and just sit up nice and tall as we begin our practice together. And with this beginning, we want to start with a few deep breaths. A nice full inhale and a complete exhale with a sigh. Again, a nice full inhale and exhale. Good. Now you can just settle into slow, steady breaths here. Now you can do this with your eyes opened and just take a gaze forward or even down at the ground, or even close your eyes as you begin this journey inward. This is your opportunity to really settle into the space and get ready for your practice. I invite you to continue with this breathing effort to feel your breath. Notice how your body is responding to your breath. That can simply be the rise and fall of your chest or belly as you breathe. And listen to the sound of your breath. So if your breath seems a little soft at the moment, just breathe a little louder, just turn up the volume a little bit. And these are just simple ways to really be present, to stay tuned in and fully connected. These things just help you to pay attention, because it takes your full attention to take these intentional breaths. So just slow, steady breaths in and out. Notice the feeling of your breath. Pay attention to the sound of your breath. Very good. Let's just bring a little bit more attention to the breathing here. As you inhale, just feel your breath rising upward to fill your lungs. You might even imagine that your breath lives in your belly, and you have to use an effort to pull the breath up to your heart space and expand it across your body. So a nice full inhale. Fill up your lungs and feel that expansion across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. And then when you exhale, you want to draw your navel inward toward your spine. Not too strongly, not too forcefully, but just enough where you're aware of your center. This is the abdominal lock. We're just drawing the belly in. A nice full inhale. Feel the lengthening of your spine as you sit up tall. That same expansion across your chest. And then exhaling, drawing belly in. And just continue like this for a few more moments. This is our sitting meditation. And in a moment, we'll add a very simple movement, moving with the breath. Go ahead and take 2 more breaths here. And when you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out across the room and really feel like you're going to touch the walls, and then all the way up as if you're going to touch the ceiling. That's the in-breath. And as you exhale, extend your arms out with that same effort, reaching across the room as you allow them to slowly come back down to your side. Again, an inhale, extend your arms out, that same effort, all the way up to complete the in-breath. Then exhale, extend the arms out with that good energy, all the way back down. Now go ahead and continue on your own. Breathe and move at your own pace. And I'll just continue giving you some light instructions. So as you're inhaling, again, you're still feeling the breath rising to fill your lungs, that same expansion across your chest, while your arms are rising up into the air. Also even notice maybe the lengthening down through the sides of your body. As you exhale with the arms coming down, you're drawing the belly button in towards your spine, that light connection to your center or the abdominal lock. Also notice your shoulders, since that's going to be part of our focus today. Just notice your shoulders in motion as you allow your arms to move up and down. Now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on right here, then take 2 more breaths. And when you're complete, just take your time. You can just bring your arms down to your side, let your hands rest in your lap. Let's do another shoulder awareness movement here. So go ahead and take your left arm and extend it out to the side, palm forward. And then bring it forward, reaching towards the front of the room. And really extend the arm. You can, if you look down at your shoulder, you can see your shoulder pull forward. You're just going to bend the elbow and just bring it in towards your body. Now you might even use your other arm and just kind of hug the arm in toward yourself. And so what's happening here, we're getting a light stretch across the deltoid muscles. There's kind of 3 parts of the deltoid there, kind of the rear part, the side part, and the front part. And so this is kind of getting into the side and back part of that shoulder. So in a way, this is a part of our unbinding, but really just getting the shoulders ready for some of the other work we're going to be doing in our practice. Let's go ahead and release and re-extend the arm forward, then out to the side, and you can turn the palm down and then bring the arm down and let it relax. We'll do the same on the other side. You'll extend your right arm out across the room, palm forward, and then reach forward here. Nice extension. And then maybe bend the elbow and then start to draw that right arm in using the other little hook just to draw it in. And it's still, you're still feeling like you're reaching perhaps across your body in that direction towards the left side of the room as you draw the arm inward using the left arm. And then that same gentle pull. Again, don't be too forceful with this. Just an awareness of sensation, maybe a light stretch. And a couple breaths. And then we'll go ahead and release, re-extend, and then out to the side. Turn your palm down and just bring the arm down to your side. And just pause here for a moment. Now you can stay facing me. I'm going to turn sideways here. We're going to move into our simple seated back bend, but this also involves the shoulders. So start by bringing your hands behind you, maybe propped up onto your fingertips. And with the arms behind you, it brings the shoulder back. So you want to be aware of the shoulder back this way. And sometimes I like to say that your shoulder is behind your heart. And we're going to do that with both arms here. And with the shoulders rolling back, you're going to engage your mid-back muscles, your rhomboid muscles, squeezing the shoulder blades together. So your shoulders draw back and your heart and chest open up. And then just tip your chin up a little bit. Inhale and just press into the floor with your hands. Feeling the energy move up the arms. Breath is rising to fill your lungs. That same expansion across the chest. And then as you exhale, draw your belly button in towards your spine. And at the same time, continue to squeeze your shoulder blades together. This should bring a lot of energy to the body, just good awareness of your body in this mild back bend. And because the arms are behind us in this fashion, and thinking about the deltoids, this is targeting the front deltoids. The front part of the shoulders. 2 more breaths. And when you're complete, just lower your chin so your neck is neutral, you're looking forward. You can just walk your hands towards yourself. Bring the hands back into your lap. Just feel the lengthening of your spine. And just pause here for a moment as everything comes back to alignment. Since that was our mild back bend, we're going to take a forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here in front, you're going to uncross your legs and reposition them and come to cobbler's pose or bound angle pose. So let's just bring in the soles of your feet together. Your knees will be bent and kind of pointing out to the sides. This is where your books or blocks can come in handy if you happen to have them, or if you have a couple of small pillows in this case. Your knees don't have to touch the floor, but you can use your props just to tuck them underneath the legs so your legs are actually rest on something. So they do feel relaxed here. And then with that, just hold on to your ankles or shins. You want to be sure you're sitting up nice and tall. And now we're ready to go. Inhale and just feel the extension of your spine. Feel like you're going up. Exhale, draw belly in for that connection and support as you start to hinge forward from the hips, leading with your heart and chin, but not really going too far. See, I didn't go too far here, just a mild angle, keeping the straight spine. Inhale again. Feel like you're lifting your torso up out of the pelvis. Exhale, draw belly in and hinge forward a little bit more. Now in soft flow, one of the things that we feature here is not needing to move deeply into any pose that we do. We really modify just about every posture that we do, and even the transitions into poses, using props to support our bodies, but only working at about, I would say, 60 to 70% as we move into some of these poses. More like 60%. So they're quite mild. You do want to feel something, but it doesn't feel intense. You don't want to feel like you're stressing or overwhelming your body in these postures. So in this fold with this spinal extension, I do feel a light stretch in my inner legs. Perfect. It's not forced, and it even allows me to hold this posture for a long time. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then we're just going to hinge our way back up until we're nice and tall, and just hold here for a moment. Now if you are using props, let's just go ahead and set those to the side and just carefully maneuver yourself and come to your hands and knees. This is where your padding or blanket or pillow, actually your blanket or towel, might come in handy. So I'm just going to open mine up to a long rectangle, coming to hands and knees, so I have some cushioning underneath my wrists and underneath the knees here. Ready for our cat-cow flow. So we'll inhale and just tip the chin up a little bit like you're looking forward, even feel like you're sending your heart forward. Meanwhile, your pelvis is tipping back, creating a back bend or U shape in your back, and your belly might drop a little bit. This is cow. You'll inhale again here. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under, scooping the pelvis underneath. Feel the back round, belly button pulls up towards spine in this case, and chin towards chest. This is cow pose. Oh, I'm sorry, this is cat pose. Inhale to cow. So tip the pelvis back, let the belly drop. Your back arches, open your heart to look forward. Exhale, round it all out. So that's our steady flow. Now, yes, we are focusing on spine and pelvis in this movement, but also be aware of the shoulders. What's interesting here is that even though the hands are on the floor here and our arms aren't moving, this does affect the shoulders, mainly because of the movement of the torso. So just be mindful of that. Even though the arms aren't moving, this does affect your shoulders. Even with strength, because we are on our hands and knees. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more. And when you're complete, just pause here in this neutral tabletop position. And one thing we can do here, if your wrists get a little tired, you might want to tuck your toes and sit back to what I call half hero, just so you're getting the weight off the hands so you can do a counter stretch. So this is a forced flex of the hands and wrists in that position. So you want to just flip the palms down like that, so we're getting a little counter stretch. And what I like to do is just give a very light pulse of the top of the hand on my blanket here. And I'll do both sides. Another thing which seems to help me is just little circles of the wrist and wiggling the fingers, just to decompress really in the wrist after they were being in that compressed state, okay? Since we are going to be doing a lot of that. Okay, let's go ahead and move our padding out of the way. Come back to hands and knees. We'll get ready for downward facing dog, and we'll break everything down. And that's another feature of our practice. Break everything down. So here, if your hands and wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, you're going to step your hands forward a little bit, and as you do so, really spread out your fingers. Spread them out pretty wide so you feel a stretch between each finger. And then kind of lean into your palm so your hands go flat as can be on your mat. As you press into the ground, also can feel the strength and straightness of your arms. Now tuck your toes under. We'll do another quick set of cat and cow. You'll inhale, tip the chin up, look forward, arch your back. Exhale, round it out, belly button pulling up towards spine. Now hold this position briefly. Toes are tucked. Lift the knees off the floor, then send your hips up into the air. And of course, the hands pushing into the ground will assist that movement. Make some adjustments with your feet, even your hands if you need to. Sometimes a little wider is helpful. Soften the knees, bend the knees quite a bit here so you still have mobility in your hips as you send your hips up a little higher. Let's go again and pay attention to the shoulders and how this feels in your arms. A lot of strength here, strong straight arms. One feeling here is you want to feel like your arms, your inner arms, are squeezing inward towards the center or even moving towards your head. Now we're going to take a few steps forward with the feet right up to maybe the center of your mat, just until your feet feel flat on your mat. And if your fingers are way far away from your toes, just slide them to your toes. So you'll be in a forward fold briefly. Now inhale and slide your hands up to your shins or knees, only pausing here halfway up. So this is half forward fold. All right, sometimes I call it monkey pose, but it's officially called, or technically called, half forward fold. I'm going to make sure your feet feel flat on the ground. There might be a slight bend in the knees, some energetic engagement of your hamstrings to help hold you in place. Take a moment and maybe just let your arms hang, and maybe some circles like you're stirring a big pot of soup. Go one direction and then the other direction. Again, just kind of getting into the shoulders a little bit. Lean back now into your heels so your toes feel light and you can tap them. Bend your knees and lower your hips like you're sitting down into a low chair. Lifting your chest so you can start to see forward. Take your arms out to the side for balance. Drive your heels into the floor to help stand up nice and tall. Continue the straight line you're drawing by reaching both arms up into the air and just treat it like a nice stretch. Then exhale, bring your arms down to your side. And we've made it to our first standing position, mountain pose. Let's continue with some shoulder rolls. Big circles with your shoulders. Roll them backward a few times and roll them forward a few times. Good. We're getting ready for some binding. We're doing a lot of loosening and stretching of the shoulders, so we're prepared for the binding in order to then release those binds. All right, let's do our half salute to the sun. I'll guide you into a forward fold and we'll come right back up to standing. So starting in mountain pose, let's inhale, extend both arms up into the air. And again, just treat it like a nice stretch. Exhale, take your arms out and down to the side. Bend your knees and imagine you're sitting back into a low chair. Coming down and let your arms drop, let the head drop, and you'll start to mold or fold right here. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, extend your spine to our half forward fold. We're going to pause here like we did earlier. Pause for a moment. Now weight shift into the heels, bend your knees, lower your hips, lifting the chest, spread your wings, and then float all the way back up to standing. Reaching into the air, another nice stretch here at the top. Exhale, bring your arms back down to your side. All right, another big circle with the shoulders. Forward a few times and backward a few times. All right, stay where you are. I'm just going to flip around. I'm just going to do another thing here. This is going to be, in a way, our first bind, okay? So together, let's inhale, extend the arms up into the air. And we'll exhale, slowly bring the arms out and down. As you bring them down, reach behind you like this. I'll turn sideways. So you can really reach behind you. So it's very similar to what we did earlier when we were seated and you brought your arms back and you roll the shoulders back. So you want to feel perhaps like you're holding on to like a box behind you, so you're squeezing inward. Active straight arms, active hands. Stay there, or if you're able, interlace your fingers. This is part of the binding. We're going to fold our fingers here. As you're able, send your knuckles down the body towards your heels. So your shoulders should drop lower, so they're not too hunched up by your earlobes. If you can, continue to squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you, activating those rhomboid muscles right across the upper back. So this is one of our binds. Binds really mean like we're holding on to another part of the body. And a couple of nice deep breaths, filling up the lungs. We're getting ready to release this bind. Okay, go ahead and release the fingers from behind you. Go ahead and inhale and re-extend the arms back up into the air, just freeing up those shoulders now, and bring your arms down to your side. And then you might want to just kind of shake that loose. All right, our next piece here, we'd like to move into a version of Warrior One, a modified version of Warrior One. So really stepping into our lunges in a light fashion. So once again, start in mountain pose. You're going to soften the knees, so bend the knees a little bit and make sure they stay soft. I'll break this down. We're going to shift the weight into the right foot. Make sure your right foot feels rooted and connected to the ground. Your left leg and left foot feel a little lighter at the moment. You're going to lean forward just a little bit so your right foot, your toes grip the mat. We're going to pick up this left heel and just start tapping the left foot back. Heel lifted, toes on the floor until the leg just naturally stops. You don't have to force it back any further than this. And then you're going to pivot the left heel to the floor. Just turn the leg out, foot turns out, and then shift so you're centered. And you make sure the knees are soft here and you really feel right in between the feet, really balanced here. Now place your hands on your hips. You're going to feel like you're pushing your pelvis down with the hands, and at the same time, you want to feel like your torso and spine are lifting up, making a little bit more space across the belt line. That should allow you to face mostly forward, okay, facing the same direction as your right set of toes. Now inhale, extend your arms straight up into the air. Exhale, bend your elbows to about 90 degrees, so something like this. So this is our variation of Warrior One. We'll just hold here for a few breaths. We're going to do another thing for our shoulders here. Stay in the lunge, but you're going to bring your arms together, your elbows together. I'm just going to turn to face you for a moment. Okay, they don't have to touch, but we're just going to bring the elbows together so your arms are still at this 90-degree angle. And that might get that same kind of pull and stretch through the rear deltoids, but also the upper back. And you're going to reopen, but open a little wider here. Even imagine like you're in a doorway and your arms were braced against the door frame there and you're trying to push through, okay? And that's going to get into the front deltoid and across the chest. Let's do that one more time. So forward, little squeeze to center. Notice how this affects the shoulders and upper back. And then reopen, sending the heart and chest forward. Hold. Actually, just soften this up. Then inhale, extend both arms straight up into the air. Exhale, arms come down to your side. Actually, bring your hands to your hips. Lean forward so you can put some weight into the front foot. Pick up that back heel. Step forward so your feet are together, returning to mountain pose. Let's finish that straight line in the body by extending both arms into the air and exhale, arms back down. All right, so that's our variation of Warrior One. Let's do the other side. Little softness of the knees, shifting weight now into your left foot, nice pressure into the floor, strong left leg. I'm leaning forward a little bit, gripping the mat with my toes. My right foot's lighter so I can lift that right heel, toes still connected to the floor, just tapping it back until it doesn't go back anymore. That's as far as I really need to go. Pivot or turn that leg, drop the heel to the floor, finding your center, keep the knees soft. That's it. Place hands on hips, pushing pelvis down while your torso lifts, making the space in your center so you can turn to face mostly forward, making sure your left knee and toes are also pointing forward. Let's inhale and extend both arms straight up into the air. Exhale, bend your elbows to that same 90 degrees. Just find your center, hold for a breath or two, and we'll do that same sequence with the arms affecting the shoulders. Here we go. Let's bring the elbows together in front. Notice how this affects the shoulders and back. And then reopen. Arms braced in that door frame, sending the heart forward. Notice how that feels on the shoulders in the front side. Let's do it again. Squeezing to the front. And then opening to the back. And then soften that up. Inhale, shoots the arms straight up into the air. Exhale, arms return to your side, actually hands to hips. Let's lean forward, put weight into the left foot, pick up the right heel, step forward so our feet are together. Let's finish with an inhale, extending both arms all the way up into the sky. Exhale, arms down to your side. And then shake that loose. Alrighty, we're starting to warm up a little bit. Let's go through a sun salutation. We will break it down. It'll also guide us to our second version of Warrior One. Starting in mountain pose, here we go. Inhale, extend your arms all the way up. Exhale, extend your arms out, spreading your wings, bend your knees, and sit back and down into an imaginary chair that's behind you. As your belly comes down, it's getting closer to your thighs. Let your arms drop, let your head drop. There's your forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, and extend your spine until your torso is perhaps parallel to the floor. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees a whole lot here so you can reach the floor with your hands. Plant the hands and then just step or walk the feet all the way to the back end of your mat. And then straighten the line in the body as best as you can for plank pose. That same strength you're building in your arms and shoulders here. Inhale for a little bit more length. Exhale, ready to move. Bend your knees a little. Send your hips up into the air, guiding your body into downward facing dog. Again, make any adjustments with your hands and your feet on your mat. All right, let's continue to Warrior One. You're going to inhale and pick up your right foot and extend the right leg back behind you. Don't worry if it doesn't lift too high. You don't have to lift it high. Just feel the extension of the leg. Inhale again. Exhale, bend that right knee in the air. Bring the right knee in underneath you toward your chest and chin as you shift your whole upper body forward. So your shoulders are now stacked over the wrists. Set your right set of toes down. The heel will be lifted. Just set the foot down. It doesn't matter where, because we're going to set the left knee onto the floor as well. Shift your body weight back so your hands feel light. Pick up your right hand. Use your right hand to literally go pick up your right foot with the ankle and step it up a little higher on your mat. Now, the reason I do that is just in case you aren't able to step the foot all the way to the top of the mat the first time. Here is a way to do that. Let's replant the right hand, re-lift the left knee, pivot or turn the left heel to the floor. If there's a lot of weight forward on the hands, we need to shift the weight back. I'm pulling my hips back, if you can see that. My hands kind of slide back here too. More pressure in that back foot. Rise to fingertips so that you can extend your spine so it's a little bit straighter and maybe aligned right over your right thigh. Now place one hand, then two hands on your right thigh. Be sure it's not your knee, but on the middle of that leg. Push to help you lift, hinging from the hips so you're facing forward. Now, this is getting ready for Warrior One. There's just more distance between the feet. Let's finish with the arms, extending the arms up into the air. Exhale, hold. Here we are, Warrior One. Arms are straight up, which of course affects the shoulders. And we have a nice wide stance here. Let's continue. Breathe in. Exhale, let's turn towards the left side of the room and bring your arms down to parallel. You'll be in Warrior Two. Good extension through the arms, very energetically reaching to the front of the room and the back of the room. Nice lunge in front, being sure your right knee and toes are pointing forward. Very good. Now stay in this posture if you can. You're going to bring the arms down behind you. Interlace the fingers like we did a little earlier. Okay? You're going to reach down towards the floor with your knuckles. Roll the shoulders back, squeezing shoulder blades together so you feel kind of this opening across the front of your chest. You're going to start to turn a little bit forward. It's more like an angle, okay? Not directly over this front knee, but kind of out at an angle here, okay? We're going to inhale and just tip the chin up a little bit. Feel like your heart is going up. And exhale, start to fold. And maybe just come down a little bit, maybe down to the thigh, or maybe even lower. Now the hands that are folded behind you, they can just stay resting on your back. But to get a little bit more dynamic with it, maybe if you can, lifting those folded hands away from the body. This is called humble warrior. Humble warrior. Okay, so kind of a binding position here. And a lot of energy and strength in this front leg. Let's release it. Release the fingers, free up the hands. That's the unbinding. Bring the hands to the floor, framing this front foot. Let's rise up onto our tiptoes behind us here. Push firmly into the floor with the hands so your arms feel strong. Hopefully that should allow you to slide the right foot back so you return to plank pose. Okay, let's bring the knees to the floor. You can sit back into hero. So hero, this is kind of a fuller hero pose where your ankles are flat like that on the ground, or return to that half hero where your toes are tucked and maybe not as much pressure on the shins, ankles, and even the knees. All right, if you can, stay here, because I'm going to show you something more with the arms here. Go ahead and extend both arms out to the side. I'm going to try to mirror you here, okay? Bring the palms together in front. Turn the palms down. Drop your left arm so it's a little bit lower than the right arm. And then cross the arms at the elbow. So you've kind of made an X with your arms. Now flip your palms up. Bend your elbows, okay? So your right elbow and arm is going to be resting in the hammock of your left arm. Stay like this if you're able, okay? Or we're going to intertwine the arms. Wow, wrap them all up if you're able. These are eagle arms. And this is certainly a bind. I'm going to turn sideways again now. And because the arms are drawing forward, a little pull through the rear deltoids and they'll stretch across the back. Take a breath, and as you inhale, do your best to expand your upper back. This is our bind. Now we're going to unbind our shoulders. Take one more breath in, and with the exhale, unravel the arms. Take them out to the side, freeing your arms and shoulders, and then bring the arms down. You might want to just circle the shoulders here. Very good. We're going to do the other side. Whole sequence. Palms out front. Okay, we're going to return to down dog. Lifting the knees and hips. There's our downward facing dog. Other side, starting with left leg. We're going to inhale, pick up the left foot, extend the left leg back behind you. Again, I'm not concerned about the height of the leg. It's more about the energetic extension of the leg. Inhale. Exhale, bend the left knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chest, shifting the whole upper body forward. If you're able to step through and bring the foot closer to the left hand, great. Otherwise, just set the foot down anywhere. Set the right knee down. Pull the weight back away from the hand so we can use that free left hand to go pick up the left foot and send it up higher onto the mat. Replant the left hand. Relift the right knee. Pivot right heel to the floor. Finding our center because there's too much weight forward here. Step the hands back, pull your hips back, rise to fingertips as best as you can. Extend your torso out over your thigh. And all the knee and toes are pointing forward. Place one hand, then two hands on your mid-leg here, mid-thigh. Press to help you lift. Then another inhale to take both arms straight up into the air. Exhale, we're in the pose. And just hold for several breaths. Arms extended, up into the air. Warrior One, version 2. Alrighty, with much more distance between the feet. Breathe in. Exhale, let's turn the torso now to the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Really good extension, so energy in the arms, and of course your shoulders are at work. Okay, here comes that humble warrior setup. You'll be able to see my hands a little bit better. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, let's bring the arms down behind you. Interlace your fingers here as best as you can, or just reach like we did in the standing position. Interlace the fingers or just free hands. This is the bind, or part of the bind. Knuckles reaching down towards the floor. Shoulders should drop down away from the earlobes. Roll the shoulders back, squeeze shoulder blades together, engage in the upper back. And a bit of a turn. Okay, maybe you're looking out towards the right corner of the room here. We're going to inhale, tip the chin up. Feel the heart lifting. Fill yourself up with breath. Exhale, let's hinge and fold. It could be minor like this, or maybe down a little lower. You choose how low you would like to go, because this does put a little bit more effort in this front leg, especially in the hip. The folded hands, they can stay resting on your back, or if you can, even just for a few seconds, lift the hands away from the body. There's our bind, much more energy here. Because it's soft flow, we're not going to hold it too long, because this easily takes us past that 70% working mark. Let's release the fingers, free up the hands, place the palms on the floor, rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. It just aligns everything nicely. In this runner's lunge, plant or press the hands firmly into the floor so we can slide this left foot back into plank pose. Let's return to hero pose. You can do the half hero or the full hero. Again, I'm going to face you as we do our eagle arms, getting into our bind with the arms and shoulders. Let's take the arms out, bring them forward, turn the palms down for a moment. We're going to drop the right arm lower than the left, cross at the elbows, make your X, flip the palms up, bend your elbows right there. So now your left arm will sit in the hammock of your right arm. Stay here if you need to, or if you're able, start to kind of wind up the arms. And it's okay if they don't wind up, okay? Because you're still doing the posture essentially, because your arms and shoulders are forward, okay? And maybe that stretch sensation across the upper back. Couple of breaths here, and don't forget as you inhale, trying to fill up your back. Feel that expansion in your upper back. This is our bind. Notice how this feels, because it can feel a bit intense. And that's the idea, so we can now experience the release of that tension, releasing the bind. Here we go. Breathe in first. Then exhale, unwind those arms and open out wide. And then you can bring your arms down to your side. You'll feel that automatic transition from that bind to that sense of release and freedom. All right, let's come back out to hands and knees. Let's do another set of cat and cow here. So an inhale to tip chin up, create the back bend, an arched back, pelvis tips back. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Belly button pulls up towards spine, rounding the spine, chin to chest. And just do that a few more times. Very good. Finish this breath and take one more. And just pause in a neutral position. All right. Let's do some more work on the floor, getting into our back bend. So you might sit back briefly in hero, briefly because we're just going to sit off to the side, swing the legs around to the front, and just make sure you're sitting in the center of your mat. This is where you'll need your books or blocks here, okay? I'm going to quickly adjust my mat. And then once you've found your center, you can easily grab your props. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. Go ahead and hug your knees into chest. And you can even add some movement here. some circles. I like to do figure eights. I like to circle the ankles just to get into the ankles a little bit, especially after being in those hero poses. Okay, so we want to free up those ankles. Just like we're unbinding shoulders, you might want to unbind your ankles now. All right, let's go ahead and set the feet onto the floor. Keep the knees bent. Can you grab your blocks or books? Make sure you have them in hand. Now inhale, fill up your lungs. Exhale, empty the belly. Breathe out of your mouth. And then lift the hips away from the floor. Slide your books or blocks underneath you. Now my blocks are kind of thin, so I can use 2 blocks. So maybe you've got a thicker book or a thicker block. You may only need 1, okay? So this is a supported bridge pose. It's a back bend, but we get to sit, and so it just takes some of the engagement out of the posture. Now we're going to try to do the same kind of bind here, okay? Now I'm kind of leaning to my right, so I can get my left arm is really free. I can easily lift up off the ground. But I'm going to try to get this left arm underneath, okay, especially the shoulder. Okay, then drop that left arm. And now I'm leaning to my left, doing the same with my right arm, getting it underneath. Again, imagine we're standing. Remember I was saying, imagine or feel like your shoulders are behind your heart. In this case, your shoulders are underneath your heart, okay? Now, you may be able to either maybe touch your fingertips together, or maybe if you can, interlace your fingers. Don't worry if you can't, but maybe if the fingers can make contact underneath you, go for that. And really just kind of creating a mild bind here, bringing the shoulders behind you or underneath you. And a few breaths. Let's take 2 more breaths here. All right, if you were able to interlace your fingers, let's release, just kind of free up the hands. Press your feet into the floor so you can lift your hips, move your books or blocks out of the way, out from underneath you, and slowly come down to the ground. Here, let's extend the body. Extend your legs out front and reach your arms behind you. That too should free up the shoulders, but it should free up the whole body in this nice stretch. Now we're going to go through our warrior sequence again, adding another bind. All right, let's go ahead and draw both knees into chest. Now, if you're able, you're certainly welcome to rock forward and back a few times to come up to seated. Or if that feels like it might be a little too much, just simply roll over to your side and then press yourself up to seated like so. Let's just do a brief boat pose, and this is how I like to do boat in soft flow. Is knees bent, feet flex, heels on the floor. With the bent knees, just hold on to the bent knees and use that as a way to sit up as tall as you can. Inhale for that length. Exhale, engage the belly by pulling in a little bit and just lean back a little bit. This is our boat pose today. We're not even going to be here too long. It's really just for a transition. Here we go. We're breathing in. And as you exhale, you can just kind of soften and basically just kind of, I'm leaning to one side so I can swing my legs around to the back. Come back to hands and knees here and maneuver ourselves back into down dog. So you might want to step your hands forward like we did earlier. Spread out your fingers. It just creates a nice base. Press firmly into the floor. Flattened hands, strong, straight arms. Tuck your toes. Cat, cow, starting with cow. Inhale to look up or forward. Arch your back. Exhale, round it all out into cat pose. Feel the core engagement. Lifting your knees, then your hips up into the air. And here's downward facing dog. Same transition. We'll inhale, extend right leg up behind you. Exhale, bend the right knee. Bring that knee in underneath you towards your chest. Maybe you can get the foot close to the hand or somewhat close to the hand. It's kind of close for me. Or do that same little series we did earlier. Once you're in this place, you got that left heel to the floor, finding your center by stepping the hands back, certainly more pressure in that back foot. You can use your hands on your thigh to help you lift or just drive the foot into the floor, hinging from hips, rising up, taking both arms into the air. Inhale again. Then exhale, turn to your left side, dropping the arms down to parallel. Here's our warrior two. I'm just making a quick adjustment with my feet. And there's my warrior two. Let's do our humble warrior again. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, bring arms down behind you. As you're able, interlace your fingers. Press towards the floor with those knuckles. Roll the shoulders back. Okay, then turn so you're facing the left corner of your room. Inhale, tip chin up, send your heart up. Exhale, hinge forward. As little or as much as you like to fold here. Maybe lifting the back set of hands. Okay, now we're going to come right back up because I have another pose for you. So just go ahead and hinge your way back up. Here, we're going to free up that bind by releasing the hands. Reach out, hold. Follow me, side angle. Reach out a little bit with this right arm to angle the upper half of the body. We're going to rotate the arm so your right arm comes down, maybe braced on the inner right leg, or your left hand reaches freely up into the air. We're going to create a mild bind with this. So the left hand that's in the air, just going to bring your arm down behind you. Maybe flip the palm so the palm is facing to the back of the room. I'm just bending the elbow and just placing my palm on my low back. Okay, so we're just going to create a bind. This is a bind. Okay, now a full bind, we're not doing it really in soft flow, but a full bind would be taking this arm, reaching underneath, and actually I'd find my fingers and even hook those fingers together. But for soft flow, we're just going to bring this hand behind. That's it. Okay, and that helps to roll the shoulder back. Let's free up that arm by reaching up into the air. You're going to turn to face forward and even bring both arms forward. Flip the palms up so you can fold and bring the hands to the floor. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. This is our runner's lunge. Press palms into the mat. Slide the right foot back. There's plank pose. Bend the knees a little. Send your hips into the air. We're back at downward facing dog. We're ready for the other side. Inhale, extend your left leg up and back, reaching back. The leg might even be parallel to the floor. Exhale, bend this left knee. Bring the knee in underneath you towards your chest as you shift your body forward, and as best as you can, getting the foot closer to the left hand. Use the other version if you need to. Turn your right heel to the floor, put weight into that back foot. Step the hands back because that will help. Either hands on thigh or free hands hinging from hips. Inhale, rising up, reaching both arms up into the air. Hold. Inhale again. Exhale, turning your torso towards the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. I'm making some adjustments with my feet. I'm just going a slightly bit wider for my lunge. Let's take our humble warrior. Breathe in to extend out. Exhale, let's bring the arms down behind you, interlace your fingers. Knuckles reaching towards the floor, straight arms, shoulders drop, but roll the shoulders back, squeeze shoulder blades together. Let's turn the torso towards the right corner of the room. Inhale, tip the chin up, send your heart up as you inhale. Exhale, hinge forward to the appropriate place. You can stay up high or go down low. Hands can remain on your body or lift away from the body. Remember, we're going to come right back up. Take a breath first. All right, let's hinge our way back up carefully. Let's unbind, return to the warrior two. Okay, second bind, reaching forward, angled upper body. Rotate the arms. Now this left arm will brace on the inner left leg while the right arm reaches freely up into the air. Inhale for a little bit more extension. Exhale, let's bring the right arm down to our modified bind. I'm going to show you the full bind because I'll be able to show you what my arms and hands are doing. You don't have to do this, so the feet have to go much wider for a wider stance, deeper lunge. I have to get much lower, left arm reaching underneath, and I'm hooking a few fingers. So it's a different way to bind this posture. For soft flow today, we're doing a variation. This is the pose. So right hand onto low back. Roll the right shoulder back. Take a breath. Continuing, inhale, extend the right arm up into the air. Okay, we're going to turn to face forward, palms forward, flip the palms up, then fold. Hands down to the mat. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. There's our runner's lunge. Strong press into the floor with the hands. Slide the left foot back. There's plank pose. Hold for a second or two. And let's bring the knees to the floor. Sit back briefly in hero. Sit off to the side. Swing the legs around to the front. Sit in the center of your mat. Still keep your blocks handy, okay, just nearby, but go ahead and roll down onto your back. Bring knees to chest and add some movement here. Just some relief for your back, especially after some of those lunges. Check in with your feet and ankles. All right, we're going to do a few things here. Just set the feet down onto the floor. Let's return to our shoulders for a moment. You can extend the legs on the floor or just keep the knees bent. Extend your arms straight up into the air. And you're just going to give yourself a hug and just be aware of which arm is closest to your chin. Okay, is it your left arm or is it your right arm? Which arm is closest to your face? And then go, as you bring the arms down or hands down, just grab hold of your shoulders like you're just giving yourself a hug. And just take some deep breaths. In a way, it's a mild bind, but it might provide even a little stretch for the outer parts of the deltoids, your shoulders, even the backside. All right, let's release and take the arms up, uncrossing. You're going to hug yourself in the other way. So if your left arm was in front, now your right arm is in front. And then give yourself a hug. Same thing, grab hold of the shoulders, almost like you're reaching behind you or underneath you, and some deep breaths. Now let's go ahead and release, taking the arms all the way back up, and then down to your side so they can relax for a moment. All right, let's do a few leg extensions. So you want to grab your books or blocks, knees are bent, plant the feet into the floor. Take a breath in. When you exhale, just press feet into the ground, lifting the hips, slide your blocks underneath you. And once again, just taking a seat. I'm doubling up on the blocks because, again, my blocks are thin. You can just use one block for this. We're going to do a leg extension. You're going to take one leg and extend it straight up into the air, followed by the other. So that's our pose. Just reaching up, and you can flex the feet, point your toes, but since the feet are free, maybe you want to circle the ankles, wiggle your toes, and maybe for a few breaths you just have this activation of the legs straight up as they are. But then you can add some movement here if you'd like. I like to bend the knees a little and do a little bicycle pedaling, just so it gets into the hips nicely, okay? Get into the knee joints, maybe your ankles and feet. And then any other movement that might feel good. You can even just hold the legs extended, or if you want to add these extra movement, that's fine. Two more breaths. You might want to re-extend the legs, and then bend the knees so you can set your feet back down onto the mat. Press into the mat with the feet, lift your hips so you can remove your blocks, and come back down to the ground. Keep the knees bent, but bring the legs together, okay, to center so maybe they touch. And then carefully, slowly drop the knees to either side of the room. So right knee to the right, left knee to the left. And then bring the soles of the feet together so they touch. Now we did this seated. This was cobbler's pose or bound angle pose. This is just a lying down version of the same thing. And just hold here for just a light inner thigh stretch. A couple breaths here. We'll finish with a twist and then Shavasana. So maybe a couple more breaths in this hip opener. Longer if you need more time here. If you feel like this is very beneficial to you, you're certainly welcome to stay here. Whenever you're ready to move, you can bring the knees together, give yourself a hug. Just lift the feet, draw the knees in, and let's go for a twist. You might start by taking the knees over to the left side, while your right arm extends out to the right side. Now, not only does this affect your spine, especially the low back in this twist, but maybe even the shoulder, especially the right arm as you extend the right arm out to the side. And just take a couple deep breaths. And when you're ready, just going to return to center. You might even pause in center. Catch the knees or shins with both hands. And let's do the other side. Send the knees over to the right side. And your left arm extends out to the left. Same thing. Just hold and breathe. Now, hopefully throughout the practice, you were able to maintain this steady flow of breath. Hopefully you never really felt out of breath, since we're moving relatively slowly for the most case. And certainly moving into poses with their variations, their modifications, so that we are really taking care of ourselves. Let's take 2 more breaths in this rotation. And then when we're complete, let's go ahead and return to center. And ready for Shavasana. Go ahead and extend the legs out in front of you. Let the legs relax once they are down on the ground. And then your arms down by your side. I'm going to suggest that you turn your palms up. And what that does really with the arms, it creates what's called an outward rotation in the arms. Okay, kind of a natural opening also for the shoulders. And since that was our theme today, unbind your shoulders, this relaxing position should also be in theme, unbind your shoulders. Take a couple deep breaths, continue to feel your whole body disengage. Get as relaxed as you possibly can. The only thing that's really in motion here with effort is the breath. Feel free to keep your eyes open, gazing upward with soft eyes, or close your eyes and continue your journey inward. Remembering that this practice was for you, an opportunity to be gentle and kind to yourself. Feel free to stay here as long as you need to, especially if you feel quite relaxed. Very welcome to stay in this moment. Even as I end the practice and I come up to seated, you're welcome to stay right where you are, lying comfortably in Shavasana for as long as you need. And when you are ready to move, take your time. You might even start with breath. So take 5 slow, deep breaths. Deep, slow, intentional breaths. And with each breath, perhaps you start to feel movement return to your body. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, an indicator that movement is returning. And when you feel ready, move in slow motion. I'm bending my knees, planting my feet, just so I can maneuver myself to one side, just rolling onto one side of my body. You might even pause there for a moment. And then press into the floor with your hands to help lift yourself up until you come to a seated position. Now feel free to sit on your blanket or a cushion. Sitting up as tall as you can, crossing the legs in front as you're able. And feel the re-extension of your spine. Let's do one more movement together. Inhale, extend your arms out and all the way up into the air. Exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Take one more breath here on your own. Now, as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.